All right, so let's talk about something a lot of us think is a strength, pushing our feelings down to get things done. We're told it's what high performers do, right? Just power through. But what if I told you that strength is actually more like taking out a high-interest loan from your own body? Yeah, a biological loan. Let's dig into that.
You've probably heard this one before, but man, it's just so perfect. Trying to bury a feeling is like holding a beach ball underwater. You can do it for a bit, right? Maybe even a long time if you're really determined, but it takes so much energy. And you know what happens? Eventually you get tired, your grip slips, and that ball doesn't just surface, it shoots up and smacks you right in the face.
So we've got these two competing ideas. On one hand, there's the story we're often sold, the stoic ideal. You know, emotions are just a distraction, something to be ignored so you can be logical and strong. But then, there's the biological reality, and the science is pretty clear on this. Ignoring your feelings isn't strength. It's like taking out a biological loan from your own body. And trust me, the interest rate is, well, it's brutal. Okay, let's bring this down to earth. Has this ever happened to you? The Sunday afternoon meltdown? I bet it has. Just picture it. You've just survived one of those weeks. The whole week, you've been in survival mode. You know that dismissive comment from your boss? You just swallowed it. That spike of anxiety about a big deadline pushed it right down. Some personal frustration? You just told yourself, nope, not now, I'm fine, I'll deal with it later, just gotta push through. Then the weekend finally hits. You're trying to decompress, and something tiny, something completely stupid happens. You drop a spoon, and boom, you just explode. A total meltdown. All this anger, maybe even tears, flooding out over a spoon. It makes zero sense, right? But here's the thing. It was never ever about the spoon. The spoon was just the last straw. What you're really reacting to is 5 straight days of ignored data. All those feelings you pushed down, they didn't go away. They were just waiting. So what's actually happening in your brain here? Well, there's a technical term for it. Cognitive decoupling. It's basically a fancy trick your mind plays. It separates the thought of an emotion, like I am angry, from the actual physical feeling of it. But here's the catch. The feeling doesn't just disappear. It just goes underground. I love this way of thinking about it. We all think of our brains as these supercomputers, right? But here's the problem. Your brain's filing system has no delete key. There's just a folder called background processes. So when you ignore a feeling, you're not deleting it. You're just minimizing it, letting it run in the background, constantly eating up your mental RAM and battery life.
And this is where that biological loan comes due. This is the hidden tax. Because even if your conscious mind is saying, I'm fine, your body knows the truth. It's still stuck in a low-grade fight-or-flight mode. Your heart rate is up, your muscles are tense, you're pumping out cortisol and adrenaline. All of this leads to very real physical stuff. You ever feel totally exhausted but you have no idea why? Yeah, this is why. Okay, so how does this whole thing work, mechanically? Well, there's a predictable cycle that explains it all, from that first little feeling to the big system crash. It's called the suppression rebound loop. It really breaks down into 4 clear steps. First, you get an affective surge. That's just the initial trigger, the feeling bubbling up. Then comes step 2, the executive block. This is your rational brain acting like a bouncer at a nightclub door, saying, nope, you're not on the list, you can't come in. But the feeling doesn't just leave, right? That leads to step 3, somatic sequestration. It gets stored somewhere else, in your body. And finally, you get to step 4, the rebound explosion. The bouncer gets exhausted, the doors fly open, and the whole crowd rushes in at once. You know, what makes this whole process so tiring is something called the white bear effect. Let me try it with you right now. Whatever you do for the next 5 seconds, do not think about a white bear. See? It's impossible. To not think about the bear, your brain has to constantly check to see if you're thinking about the bear. It's this constant monitoring mode, and it just burns through your energy. So that whole idea of being the cool, calm, collected stoic, it's really just a myth. This is the reality. You're not a stoic. You're a storage unit, and you're just cramming more and more unprocessed emotional stuff in there. And what happens to every storage unit? Eventually, it runs out of space. This all begs a pretty big question, though. Why? Why would our brains be wired this way? It seems like a terrible self-destructive design. Well, the answer goes way, way back into our evolutionary history. I mean, seriously, it seems backward, doesn't it? A system that wastes all this energy and sets us up for these massive meltdowns. How is that a good survival strategy? Well, believe it or not, there is a reason. and it has everything to do with belonging.
It's a concept called social survival primacy. Basically, your brain's oldest, most fundamental job isn't to make you happy, it's to keep you safe as part of the tribe. For our ancestors, getting kicked out of the group was a death sentence. So, your brain learned to prioritize social acceptance and safety above almost everything, including how you actually feel or even your physical health.
And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Your brain would rather you be sick and accepted than healthy and vulnerable. Think about that. Showing unacceptable emotions like fear or anger could get you cast out of the tribe. So your brain made a cold, hard calculation. It is better to be internally sick but accepted by the group than it is to be healthy but vulnerable to rejection. Fitting in trumps feeling good.
Okay, so we've covered what's happening, how it happens, and why it happens. Now for the most important part. What do we do about it? How do we actually break this cycle and move from constantly censoring ourselves to integrating these feelings?
The whole goal here has to shift. It's not about stopping the feelings. It's not about fighting that white bear anymore. The goal is to invite the bear in for tea. Yeah, really. You change your relationship with it. You stop trying to kick it out, and instead you pull up a chair and see what it has to say.
And look, there are some really practical ways to do this. Here are 3 tools to get you started. First is name it to tame it. It's amazing, but studies show that just saying the feeling out loud, like, okay, I am feeling angry right now, actually helps calm your brain down. Second, somatic discharge. All that energy you stored in your body, it has to go somewhere, so move. Shake it out, go for a run, punch a pillow, whatever it takes to complete that stress cycle. And the third tool is the 90-second rule.
This number, 90 seconds, is a game changer. A neuroscientist discovered that the actual chemical process of an emotion in your body, the pure physical flood of it, only lasts about 1.5 minutes. That's it. If a feeling lasts longer than that, it's because our thoughts are re-triggering it over and over. So if you can just sit with that physical sensation without judging it for just 90 seconds, it will pass.
So this is the big reframe we need to make. Emotions aren't bugs in our software, they're not errors, they're notifications, they're data. They're trying to tell you something important, maybe about a boundary that's been crossed or a need that isn't being met. The real question is, what are they trying to tell you? If you can learn to listen when they whisper, you'll never have to hear them scream.
And it all comes down to this simple truth. What you resist persists. The more you fight a feeling, the stronger it gets, the longer it sticks around. The only way out is through. The path to actually moving on isn't by resisting, it's by feeling. It's about letting yourself feel what you feel.
So I want to leave you with this one last image. So many of us spend our lives trying to build a dam to hold back this powerful river of emotions. And it's just exhausting work, isn't it? And we all know every dam eventually breaks. The real goal isn't to stop the river. It's to build a channel, a way to let all that energy flow through you instead of crashing against you. So the question is, what does building that channel look like for you?